Welcome back to this dark and gloomy day that we have in this unfortunate state that I like to call Maryland. We are recording live on YouTube, Facebook, well, both YouTubes. I mean, no, YouTube, both Facebooks, the Edmo Show listener group page, and my personal Facebook page. We are streaming live on Twitter. And yeah, so today we're not going to really do our traditional sorry, as I'm getting the links put up, we're not doing our traditional struggle day episode. The reason being is that there has been a sudden rise in interest, excuse me, in this whole Hebrew Israelite way of life, I should say. Largely um because of this documentary, this book called Hebrews to Negros. Now, if you guys watched the last struggle episode, I kind of mentioned it. I kind of talked about it. I did watch the documentary on YouTube. I paid to watch it. It was by far the most god awful thing I've ever seen in my life, especially as someone who reads the Bible clearly on word for word on this platform. As someone who studies the Bible, especially who is interested in learning Hebrew, someone who likes to do the research, likes to do the history, and all types of other stuff. Now, let me preface to say I am not a pastor, I am not a professor, I am not I'm not an expert. But however, one thing I do have is reading comprehension skills. So I do a lot of investigating and stuff, in my several lines of work. So I know how to investigate very well. I know how to find information very well. But I'm just gonna say I'm not an expert. And I'm pretty sure there's gonna be someone out there that disagrees with me. I may get some things wrong because one thing that we're dealing with here, we're dealing with history. We don't understand how complicated history is. Um, we don't understand the depths of a lot of things that we discover in archaeology and culture and stuff like that. However, one thing that I will say is we need to tread lightly when it comes to digging into the past and understanding, because one thing I like to that I well, I don't like it, but I hear a lot of people say is people like to take civilizations, peoples, cultures from the past, and try to use our modern day understanding, our modern day way of life to cast judgment or to demonize or uplift a certain culture. We're mainly going to focus on this whole Hebrew Israelite movement. As you guys, if you guys didn't watch the last struggle episode, I said I almost got caught up in it because it is very alluring, and you do have some people out there who are very good at communicating and who are very knowledgeable in the Bible. However, what they'll do is they'll take certain things and then they'll twist it. That's common in any church. But first, I want you guys to see this trailer for Hebrews to Negroes, and I will say, um, matter of fact, while the trailer is starting, I got into this I'm not Twitter, TikTok battle with this guy. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but pretty much, in the TikTok, this guy was saying that the Mount of Olives was in Georgia. That's just to give you how delusional a lot of the people in this Hebrew Israelite movement, a lot of people who are so hungry for answers to their questions, how easy it is for them to get caught up. And yeah, I did antagonize the dude a little bit because for the sake of argument, I'm not gonna call these people Hebrew Israelites. I'm not gonna call these people black Hebrew Israelites. I'm gonna call them, for the sake of this episode, I'm calling them Hebrews. That is the term that I've can't come up with. That is just the one way that I can kind of shorten everything. Yes, it's a little bit punny. Yes, it's meant to have a little sting, because what I'm talking about is when I'm talking about the Hebrews, I'm talking about black folks who have this great delusion and this great lust and pride to where they believe that they are the most important. They want to believe that they're the Jews and all this other stuff, when if you actually read your Bible, you would know it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna see if I can find. I'm gonna play the trailer, and I'm gonna see if I can find this TikTok. I'm gonna see if I can share it.
They never thought this day would come, and no, it is not a dream. It's very real.
Pause this. I'm gonna pause this. Now, traditionally, when people were talking about the Hebrew Israelites, you see this guy right here with the little with the star of David on it. That's traditionally what the Hebrew Israel, with the black Hebrew Israelites used to look like. But now you got dudes like this guy with the pigtails in the back. Now you have the more, I would say, refined. They don't even consider themselves black Hebrew Israelites. They call themselves Hebrew Israelites. And they'll look like regular people. They live very upstanding lives for the most part. However, they're caught up in this net of delusion that is very dangerous. Because that's how you get a lot of these cults. That's how you get a lot of these factions, where, okay, we start out with the extreme dude wearing the Star of David, the studs, the leather, and all types of other stuff. Looks crazy. But then you'll get somebody who's a little bit more refined, a little bit more palatable, a little bit more accepting to our eyes and our ears. And then that's when they get you. One of the people that I really respect the most in this whole Hebrew Israelite movement. I respect him. I don't agree with him on certain things, especially when it comes to this whole this black Hebrew thing. I'll agree with him on virtually 80 to 90% of what he teaches, because he's very knowledgeable in the Bible, in Torah, the law, the culture, and stuff like that. However, I strongly and vehemently disagree with him, adversarially disagree with him on this whole idea that we as black folks, yes, don't let the hair and the skin fool you. Yes, I'm of the African American descent. So I vehemently disagree with him on blacks, specifically African Americans, being the real Hebrew Israelite Jews. That's where and that man's name is Pastor Dow. Love him, respect him, all of his works. I consume a lot of his content. I listen to his live streams when he's doing his sermons. However, that is the only part that I disagree with. And the only reason why I do, we'll talk about it towards the end of the show. But I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm not saying that he means ill intent. However, that's the only thing I disagree with him on. And then there's several other people. There's several people on TikTok that I like. However, I disagree with them on that. I was listening to this one podcast. It was for women. However, once she started getting into this whole black slavery and all this other stuff, I was like, you lost me. You lost me. A lot of her content was really good up until this point. And I'm going to talk about what I believe is going on. I could be wrong, but up until this point, a lot of these people were very humble, very knowledgeable. But now with Kanye, with Nick Cannon, Kyrie, now these fools are about to turn it up on 10. and the guy's using Yahoo. So here's why I say that this information in the hands of a lot of gullible people is very dangerous. We have this dude right here. I'm going to show you his TikTok.
Christ was crucified on Stone Mountain and buried in Lagrange, Georgia.
Hear that? Buried in Lagrange. I got 5 No, you don't. You ain't got. Ooh, I was about to cuss. You ain't got nothing on it, pimp. And I went into his thing and I said, look, man, y'all gullible Hebrews will believe anything, anything. As long as it confirms your delusion, as long as it goes along with your biases, as long as it agrees with your worldview or just whatever you got going on, you will believe it. I swear, growing up, I've heard some of the craziest things coming out of the mouths of black people and out of the black culture. First, we was gods. First, then we were kings and queens in Africa. Then we were the richest people in the world until slavery. Then it was we're the real Egyptians in Kemet. Oh wow, who is this? No, just got some block user. Got someone talking about find love here. You're blocked. Um, we got then it was, oh, we're the real Egyptians. We're from Kemet and all, and then this Egyptian mysticism and all this other stuff. And then they want to talk about how our melanin is divine and we absorb sun energy and we're magic and all this other stuff. Now it's to the point where we're the real Hebrews. Oh, and let me backtrack. Before we were kings and queens, we were the first man. We were the first human being. We were the cradle of civilization, when honestly, in all actuality, no, we're not. If you look historically and archaeologically, the cradle of civilization is in the Middle East, between the Tigris and the Euphrates. It was the most fertile plot of land in existence back then. We consistently find things, and then we can also equate parallels between what we're seeing and the Bible. So far from what I've seen, the Bible has not been wrong. The Bible even talks about there being droughts, being famines, being turning the land of Israel and the land of Canaan into like a wasteland, which it kind of is. And then here we got these he grows on TikTok, and I love the internet. I have a love hate for the internet because I love the fact that we have platforms like TikTok, we have these other platforms, YouTube, even though I don't dislike YouTube sometimes, Facebook, even though I dislike Facebook sometimes, Twitter, Instagram, all these other platforms where if you got a phone, if you got one of these, then you can have a platform. So great. However, we allow sometimes the worst of us to have a platform. We allow the least educated of us to have a platform, which is fine. Actually, I'm not the most educated person in the world, and I actually want to use my platform to invite experts, doctors, lawyers, all these people, the real experts, because me, I'm just a regular person. So, I work with what I got. But so now that we got this dude on TikTok, and me and this dude had a back and forth because I'm pretty sure if you go to his TikTok, you'll see me in there. You'll see my little avatar. Um, he was saying that what I actually said, I was one of the first people to comment on it. Actually, let me see. Oh crap, there's a whole bunch in here. Never mind. But pretty much I just said, the y'all are so delusional, and y'all want to spread this falsehood, you sons of Belial, which, if you know anything about the Bible, being called a son of Belial is not a good thing. And then he responded to me saying, well, I've actually researched this for years and all this other stuff. And I said, well, clearly you haven't read the Bible, because if you really think that the Messiah was crucified in Georgia, you must be smoking the strongest peyote ever. So So let's move on. So now that we've got this Hebrew to Negro documentary and books, we got people on TikTok creating this content. Now let's get to Kyrie.
On the Amazon Prime, I was like, you know what? Let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh.
Now Yahweh, the YHWH, that's a tetragrammaton. That's not the actual Yahweh is not the actual pronunciation. It's a mispronunciation, which is fine. But that's the same thing as you got Christians around here saying that God's real name is God when it's not. God is a title. God actually means Lord. God actually derives from the Babylonian word God, which is referring to Baal and some other deities. So that's why me personally, I kind of refrain from saying God. But when you saying God, that's not his name. His name is in Hebrew scholars, the people who speak the language, read the language, they said his name is Yahovah or Yahuwah. The way once you put the little in it, Yahuwah. But you can shorten it up by saying Yah. If you look at a lot of the names in the Bible, Yahudah, Yeshua, Yisrael. When you see the Yah in there, and especially when you see El, they're referring to God. Even in the Bible, it says, "My name will be in him." Jesus' real name is Yehoshua, Yah. Yah will be the salvation of his people. God will save his people. That's what his name means. It's not Jesus. It's not Jesus. It's Yeshua or Yehoshua, depending on if you want to use the Yehoshua, which is the long version, or the Yeshua or the Yahshua. Because some people they'll go back and forth between the Yeh and the Yah. That's fine. But and the closest English name to Jesus' real name is Joshua. But the reason why they changed it, the reason why you'll see actual Joshua in Exodus and the book of Joshua is they don't want to confuse you. They don't want to confuse him with the Messiah. So let's go ahead and play this.
That came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night. In terms of the backlash or what people call it, we're in 2022. History is not supposed to be hidden from anybody.
Now, granted, Kyrie Irving is free to believe whatever he wants. However, I will push back on him on this. This is not history. Just because you watch a documentary doesn't make it history. Just because something appeals to you doesn't make it history. If anything, we're not even we're history can get very distorted real quick. So if he wants to call this history, fine. That good on you, Kyrie. You can call this history. You can believe this to be history. There's nothing I can do or say about it. However, the only thing I can say is if you really want to know who Yahuwah is or Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, whichever pronunciation you want to use, then maybe, brother, you need to start reading the actual Bible and start from there. But what happens is we have these people, we have this perverted experience with the Bible through churches and through people. And then we go out seeking other things. I know I did. And that's why I said I almost got caught up in this because me reading the Bible and stuff, it's very alluring. However, the adversary knows the Bible as well. And even, and I just go back to Genesis. The adversary likes to distort information. We see this. Let me go ahead and share another screen with you guys. Go ahead and let's go here. Okay, so let's start here at Genesis 3. I've already gone over this in the Bible episodes. If you guys want to go back and listen to those, I will be in the next coming months, probably go back and then try to upload because I only have audio for these because I wasn't on YouTube then. But let's start here. Genesis 3. But the serpent was shrewder. The Hebrew word here for shrewder is arum, meaning aware, than any animal in the field of Adonai Elohim made. So it said, it said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from all the trees of the garden? The woman said to the serpent, of the fruits of the trees we may eat, but the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God said, you must not eat of it, and you must not touch it, or you will die. So now I want you to pay attention right here. God never said this middle part, you must not touch it. He said you must not eat of it. So that is where the adversary likes to work. Wherever there's ignorance, wherever there's crack in understanding, that's where he will move in. He will slither his way in there, and then he got you. It's bait on the hook. So then the serpent said to the woman, you most assuredly won't die, for God knows when you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So now I'm gonna connect this to the Hebrew Israelite moment. For God knows when you eat of it, your eyes will be open. What did Kyrie say? You know, he looked it up on Amazon, and then boom, this is history. His eyes have been open. No, it hasn't. You just been ensnared by a delusion because you want to connect with something. Now the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was a thing of lust for her eyes. What is this Hebrew Israelite movement doing? It is a thing of lust. Black people have this lustful desire to wanting to be the apex culture of humanity. For again, let's go back to what our culture's been saying. KRS-One, E40, all these artists, Kanye, Nick Cannon, now Kyrie. What are they trying to do? They're trying to prop up blacks, especially African Americans, most especially, as being the kings of the world. We're the first man. We're gods and goddesses. We're kings and queens. We're the real Egyptians, even though we enslaved the Hebrews, who we now want to be. We want to be the Hebrews. These white looking Jews are not the real Hebrews. That's what's going on, because I believe that people are sensing that something is coming. And now there's this push for God. However, for this push for God, now people aren't even reading the Bible. They're trying to make God conform to their world beliefs and their world views. And then they're trying to distort reality to get other people in. So um it was lust for her eyes, and the tree was desirable uh for imparting wisdom. She took the fruit and she ate. She also gave it to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew they were naked. So that's one thing that I think is going on. I think once people get into this whole Hebrew Israelite movement thing, they want to eat the fruit. They believe that their eyes have been opened. Now they're aware of how insignificant they really are. So now they want to push. They want to push for this. Oh, well, we are the real people because now we're naked. You're vulnerable. Your insecurities are showing. That's just me. So let's go back to let me see. Uh yeah, okay. Let's go to chapter 2. Rest, humanity in the Garden of Eden. All right, Elohim, good food. Okay, now the tree of life was in the middle of the garden, and also the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden. From there, it divided and became the four riverheads. All right, let's move down. Blah 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 blah. Cultivate. Okay, here we go. Chapter Genesis chapter 2 verse 15. Then Adonai Elohim took the man and gave him rest in the garden of Eden in order to cultivate and watch over it. Then Adonai Elohim commanded him, saying, from all the trees of the garden you must you are most welcome to eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil you must not eat, for when you eat from it you will surely die. He nowhere did God ever say if you touch it you'll die. Eve added that because there was ignorance there. There was a lack of understanding there. There was broken lines of communication there. That's why the adversary went after her. And that's why black people are going after, are walking the ways of Kanye. They're walking the ways of Nick Cannon. They're walking the ways of Kyrie because there's ignorance there. And I don't mean ignorance as to be a derogatory thing. What I'm saying is there's lack of understanding, there's lack of knowledge there. So let's go ahead and so now this let's go back to Kyrie, see if there's anything else we could pull out from Kyrie.
And I'm not a divisive person when it comes to religion. I embrace all walks of life. You see it on all my platforms. I talk to all races, all cultures, all religions, and my response would be, it's not about educating yourself on what Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is. It's really about learning the root words of where these come from and understanding that this is an African heritage that is also.
It's not African. So yeah, again, you're sitting here saying you want to learn the root words of where you want to learn the root of where these words come from. This is an African culture. No, it's not. It's not African. First of all, this is one thing that I cannot stand about African Americans or Black Americans, I should say. Black Americans don't understand African culture. Uh, American blacks and Africans are two completely different things. We are so far removed from Africa that we are just Americans. Now, if you talk to anybody that's from an African culture, they don't consider themselves African. They consider themselves whatever their tribe is, whatever their territory is, whatever their country is. Black people, however, want to take over this whole mass thing and call it African, but they don't even understand what Africa is. Not all Africa is black, dark, Jesus.
Belonging to the people. Africa is in it, whether we want to dismiss it or not. So the claims of anti-Semitism and who are the original chosen people of God, and we go into these religious conversations, and it's a big no-no. I don't live my way like that. I don't live my life that.
So he wants to sit here and say, who are the real chosen people? God says over and over and over and over again who his chosen people are. He says his chosen people are from the house of David. He said that his chosen people are the people who walk in his ways, the people who uh uh the people who can hold on to his commandments, who can hold on to his right rulings. God does so much. And here's one thing that I don't understand about these Hebrews. These Hebrews will sit here and keep talking about how they're the real Jews. Obviously, you don't read the Bible, because the Jews throughout the entire Bible are doing everything they can not to keep the commandments, not to keep the feast, not to keep the right rulings. They're doing everything that they can. And right now I'm reading Kings, and they're talking about how David, how Saul, David, Solomon, Rehoboam, Jeroboam, like they're talking. I'm Solomon was one of the most wisest men claimed in the Bible. To me, I don't think so, because if you're wise, why would you not uphold the simplest things to do? God said, as long as you walk in my ways, as long as you keep my ordinances, as long as you keep my right rulings, you will be the greatest king ever. And Solomon didn't, and God knows this, uh, but then Solomon gave way to his lust, to his women. He started praying and participating in practices to other gods. What do black people do? Black people do the exact same thing. So how are you going to sit here and call yourself a matter of fact, that might be your actually only legitimate claim, is because black people can't keep anything as far as biblical standings and God's commandments and stuff.
That way. Excuse me. I grew up in a melting pot, and I say a melting pot of all races: white, black, red, yellow, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and you can see the way I live my life now. I'm not here to be divisive, so they could push their agenda. I don't want to say they, because I'm not.
Listen to the double speak. I don't want to be divisive, but yet I'm going to sit here and I'm going to claim this as my culture, which will create division because you're the imposter, not me. That's divisive, dude.
Not identifying any one group or race of people, but I'm in a unique position to have a level of influence on my community. And
That right there. He's in a unique. How are you back? No, block user. All these spam bots, error occurred. Jesus. So again, he said he's in a unique position. Nick Cannon, unique position. Kanye West, unique position. Kyrie Irving, words out of his mouth, unique position. They are in a unique position to spread this delusion. They're in a unique position to send people down a path like Solomon, like Saul, like everybody in the Bible who God propped up, and then they soon turn their back on him. Solomon, the wisest man, the man to build the house of God, turns his back on him by building other houses to other deities, started participating. And it even said that he didn't even walk in God's ways fully because of his women, because of his lust. So because black people have this lust for wanting to be so important, to wanting to be the apex human ethnicity in the world, now you have great delusion. God even said, I will cause great delusion and confusion.
What I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that's being done or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that it's actually going to impact.
The double speak. The double speak. Again, he says, I'm not. Oh my God, goodness. The double speak.
Does not mean that I support everything that's being said
I don't
or everything that's being done or I'm campaigning for anything.
I'm campaigning.
All I do is post things for my people in my
But all I do is post things for my people in my community. The double speak.
Community and those that it's actually going to impact.
And those is going to actually impact, meaning the ignorant, the gullibles. Jesus. Again, I don't want to put malice on Kyrie. I don't want to put malice on Kanye. I don't want to put malice on Nick Cannon. However, I believe, like Eve, they had this crack in ignorance to where now that they believe something, and now that they're being used and taken advantage of because of their position. Eve, because of her ignorance, because of her lack of understanding, caused her husband Adam, who knew the word perfectly, who saw God face to face, she caused him to sin. So again, if your whole purpose for this whole thing is to get black people to wake up to understand you are the real Hebrews and the Jews, you're distorting the people.
Anybody else that has criticism, it obviously wasn't meant for them.
Anybody who has criticism, no, hey, bro. Again, if you don't agree with me, it's not meant for you. Okay, all right. I don't agree with you. Hey, the Negro movement is not meant for me because I actually know the word of God. Kyrie, you need to read your Bible, pimp. That's and one good thing. And here's where I want to take you guys. Let's go back. Bible Gateway is probably by far one of my favorite pages. So these are some of the passages, the curses and ordinance, and it starts from Deuteronomy chapter 28, and you got blessings right here. I'm not going to read this whole thing from 15 down all the way here. So let me see. Now I want you guys to pay attention to this part. Verse 15. But if you will not listen to the voice of Adonai, your God, not Kyrie, not Kanye, not Nick Cannon, not anybody else, not some jackwagon that makes a documentary and get it put up on Amazon. God, if you will not listen to the voice of Adonai, your God, to take care and do all his mitzvahs, whose mitzvahs? God's mitzvahs, and the statutes that I commanded you today, all these curses will come on you and overtake you. So, in order to sit here and first of all, and this is one thing that black people will never say that is in this Negro movement is they won't even acknowledge that they actually sinned. They won't acknowledge that they were the ones that did not keep. If you're really the true Jews, the true Hebrews, first of all, you have to acknowledge that you committed a sin, you did not walk in God's ways, and God placed a curse on you. Why? Because God said he would do that. So, cursed you will be in your cities, cursed you will be in your fields, cursed you will be in your baskets and your kneading bowls, cursed will be the fruit of your womb. to produce the soil to increase your herds. Curse will come. Curse will you be when you come in. Curse you will be when you go out. Here's one right here. Adonai will send you cursing, confusion, and frustration in every undertaking of your hand that you will do. So, okay, if black people want to sit here and say, all right, well, that's a legitimate that confirms that we're the true Hebrews. All right, cool. And this is one verse that they like to use. Now, from 64 all the way down to 68. Adonai will scatter you among the peoples from one end of the earth to the other, and there you will serve other gods. Okay, wood and stone, that you and your fathers will not. That your fathers have not known. Among these nations, you will not find. You will find no rest, and there will be no rest on the soles of your feet. And the reason why this whole soles of the feet is important is because God has said, wherever the soles of your feet land is where the nation of Israel will be. But now what he's doing is he's retracting that. This ain't going to be a nation of Israel for you. This ain't going to be the promised land for you. So, but there, Adonai will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and a despairing spirit. Your life will hang in the balance before you. You will be afraid day and night. You will have no assurance of your life. In the morning, you will say, if only it were evening. In the evening, you will say, if only it were night. From the fear of your heart that you will fear, and the sight of your eyes that you will see. And then here's the part right here that a lot of these Hebrews like to use. Adonai will bring you back to Egypt in ships. And they like say, see, verse 68 right there. They're talking about the transatlantic slave trade. No, they're not. They're talking about literal Egypt. But then they will say, oh, but Egypt means house of bondage. Okay, cool. Let's go with that. Adonai will bring you back to the house of bondage in ships. By the way that I said to you, and this is Moses speaking, you will not see it again. There you will sell yourselves. Not anybody selling you. There you will sell yourselves to your enemies as slaves and maids, but there will be no buyers. So that completely negates the whole the transatlantic slave trade, because you weren't selling yourselves. And honestly, I believe this is all backlash from the woman king, because it got out that the whatever the woman king, what is it, the Dahami, they were the ones actually capturing their rivals in their territory and selling them off into slavery. So, and then here's another one. This is where a lot of these Hebrews like to say, they like to come to Revelation 2. Let me see. And I'll just start. Let me see. Okay, I'll start from here, verse 4. But this I have against you, that you have forsaken your first love. Remember, then from where you have fallen, repent and do the deeds you did at first. If not, I will come to you and remove your menorah from its place, unless you repent. Again, what are these Hebrews doing? They're not repenting. They're just claiming something. Yet you have this going for you, that you hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He also has an ear. Let him hear the Ruach, which is spirit, is saying to Messiah's communities. To whose communities? Messiah's communities. Not the Hebrews, not the Israelites, not the black Hebrew Israelites, not the Jews, the Messiah's communities. To the one who overcomes, I will grant the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in paradise of God. Now let's go here. Uh, do not fear Satan's testing. To the angel of Messiah's community in uh, I don't even know how to say that. Shemirna writes, "This says the first and the last, who is dead and came to life. I know your tribulations and your poverty, yet you are rich, as well as the slander of those who say they are Jewish and are not." That's the line right there. Those who say they are Jewish and are not. So now, but are a synagogue of Satan. So now, what do these Hebrews like to do? The Hebrews like to attack the Ashkenazi and saying they're not the real Hebrew, they're not the real Hebrew Jews, because Ashkenaz was a son of Japheth. So now let's go here. Let's go. These are genealogies right here. So Japheth, sons, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavin, which are the Greeks, Tubal, Meshesh, Terah, Gomer, Ashkenaz, right here. So they like to focus on Ashkenaz. But let's go back. All right, so let's go. The cursed is Canaan. The lowest slave will be to his brother. He also said, "Blessed be Adonai, God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth. May he dwell in the tents of Shem. May Canaan be his slave." So if we already know that Ashkenaz is a son of Japheth, and Japheth is supposed to live in the house of Shem. It does. Really, really. So let's go here. So who is the real synagogue of Satan? Who is the ones that are saying that they're the real Jews? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Now, what I do know, uh, okay, let me see. I'm trying to find. Okay, so right here, we are in Galatians 3, verse 23 down to 29. Now remember, I like to read the TLV version. Now, before faith came, we were being guarded under the Torah, bound together until the coming faith would be revealed. Therefore, the Torah became our guardian to lead us to the Messiah, so that we might be right based and trusting. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a guardian. For you are all sons of God through trusting Messiah Yeshua. For all of you who were immersed in Messiah have clothed yourselves with Messiah. There is neither Jew nor Greek. I'm going to say that again. Verse 28, there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Messiah Yeshua. And if you belong to Messiah, then you are Abraham's seed, heirs according to the promise. So, right here, Galatians 3, verse 23 through 28, completely destroys the whole Hebrew movement, because the Hebrews want to sit here and talk about how they're the real Hebrews, how they're the real Jews. However, they clearly have not read Galatians 3, verse 23 through 28, because right here in 28, there's neither Jew nor Greek. It doesn't matter if you're Hebrew, Jew, Hebrew, Israelite. It doesn't matter, because if you are in the Messiah, if you accept the Messiah, then you doesn't matter where your bloodline lineage is, you are a seed of Abraham. You have been grafted in. Now, since we're talking about grafted in, I want you guys to look at this right here, the book of Ruth. Now, if you guys don't know Ruth, the book of Ruth is about marriage. And it's not only about marriage, it's about being grafted in. Now, who is Ruth? Ruth was a Moabite woman. And who are the Moabites? The Moabites were the descendants of Lot, because Lot decided he wanted to get drunk and he got taken advantage of by his daughters. So now the Moabites were bred on incest. Naomi, who is Ruth's mother-in-law, went back to Jerusalem, and she brought Ruth with her because Ruth wanted to go. Ruth loved Naomi so much, and Ruth was Ruth's husband, who is Naomi's son, died. So Ruth was like, Naomi was saying, "Look, you don't have to go with me." Ruth says, "No, wherever you go, I go. Wherever your God is, that will be my God too. Your God is my God now." So now, what does Ruth do? Ruth tries to hook. Naomi tries to hook Ruth up with Boaz, and now we're going through this whole redemption theme in chapter 4 of Ruth. Who will redeem? So Boaz really likes Ruth. Ruth is really into Boaz. And then also, this is going to redeem Naomi because her son is gone, her husband is gone. So her only daughter is her daughter in law. So Naomi doesn't have anything to her name. So they go through this whole thing. Boaz has to petition because he has to petition the next of kin. They were like, "Yo, no, we're good." So guess what? Ruth and Boaz get together. So Boaz announced to the elders of the people, "You are to witness today that I have brought Naomi that belongs to Emelech or Elamech, all that belong to Shilion and Mahalon, whatever. I'm bad with these names. Moreover, I have acquired Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Malone, to be my wife in order to raise up the name of the deceased over over his inheritance, so that the name of the deceased will not be cut off from his brothers, from or from the gate of his town. You are witness today." So now all the people of the gate and the elders says, "We are witness. May Adonai make the woman who has come into your house like Rachel and like Leah, who both built up the house of Israel. May you prosper in Ephrath and be renowned in Bethlehem. May your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, through the seed that Adonai will give you by this young woman." Now they said right here, Tamar bore to Judah. Who was Tamar? Tamar was a Canaanite woman. She wasn't a Hebrew. She wasn't a Jew. She was a Canaanite. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And when he went to her, Adonai enabled her to conceive and gave birth to a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed be Adonai, who has not left you without a goal today." I don't know that word. Um, May his name be famous throughout Israel. Moreover, he will be to you a renewer of life and a sustainer of your old age. For your daughter in law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Naomi took the child, held him in her bosom, took care of him. The neighboring women gave him the name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." So they called him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David, who was later, and I'm not reading this, who was later the father of Solomon, who was later, David is ultimately the father of the Messiah. So again, you're sitting here talking about y'all so worried about who the real Hebrew and Jews are. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So now that I've already killed, buried, and torched this whole debate, and I'm pretty sure none of y'all are going to hear me on this, can we stop? That's all I'm going to say. Can we please stop? Read the Bible. Read it. And please pray for discernment. That's all I can really say. Pray for discernment. Stop going wherever the wind takes you. Stop having these cracks in the foundation to where the adversary can sit here and whisper to you, "Hey, are you really going to die if you eat it or you touch it?" And you fools are like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I mean, we are the real Hebrews and the real Jews, but if you're not walking the Messiah, guess what? It don't matter. If you're not keeping his right rulings and commandments like Solomon, like David, like Saul, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Like, y'all are doing this for what? Y'all ain't going to be reading the Bible. And I bet you that they're going to try to come out with some Hebrew Bible that is so distorted, that has like, they're going to add to it, they're going to take away from it. Trust me. Again, no shade to people like Pastor Dow, who really is knowledgeable on the Bible. However, they distort a few things. He clearly is forgetting about Ruth. He's clearly forgetting about Galatians. He's clearly, because he trust me, I was like, yeah, you know what, I can really get with this. But then once I start see, because I'm so sensitive about racial talk from being biracial, I'm so sensitive to the racial talk that once people start introducing race and stuff in ethnicities and the stuff, my ears perk up. And then I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm very averse to a lot of this stuff because the moment someone starts talking like that, that's when I start digging. That's when I start trying to figure out what their angle is. And if you can be sold based on what you look like, what your ethnicity is, you have a lot of work to do. But all I'm going to sit here and ask of you is to pray for discernment. Pray for wisdom. Pray for that way you understand what is going on. You understand what God is trying to tell you. You understand what the real purpose and intent is. It doesn't matter what your bloodline is. As long as you accept the Messiah who died for all of our sins, you're grafted in like Ruth. You're grafted in like the sons of Tamar through Judah. You're grafted in. That's all that matters. Because if Ruth, who was born of who came from Moab, who was born of incest, could be the mother, one of the mothers of the Messiah, guess what? It don't matter who your lineage is. Doesn't matter if you're from the castles of Europe, or if you're from the vast deserts of Africa or the Middle East. It doesn't matter. So to Kyrie, to Nick Cannon, to Kanye, hey, all I'm gonna do is say that y'all need some discernment, and y'all probably need to stop listening to whoever is having y'all run around looking crazy. Because now I will say it doesn't matter if I agree, if anyone else agrees. The one thing, the person or the being that you need to be in good with is the Almighty. So with Nick Cannon, him having all his 12 children acting like he's the Jacob reincarnate and whatnot, Kanye over here starting this fight with Jews and all this other stuff. And then you got these people sitting here saying that 78% of the slaves owned in America during slavery was owned by Jews. Come on now, cut the crap. Just cut it out. Because first of all, we're so far removed from that. If anything, y'all need to be getting right with God instead of trying to figure out who the real Jews are. Y'all need to start walking in his ways. Y'all need to start upholding his commandments. Y'all need to start upholding his right rulings. And as long as you cool with the Messiah, and as long as you're doing what the Messiah tells you, then by all means. But that's all I got for y'all. So yeah, so we'll probably do probably start Leviticus on, matter of fact, we'll do Levitic debating. I'll let you guys know. We'll probably start Leviticus either next week or after Thanksgiving. But until then, I'm gone. Peace.